Hey team, Jen here, coming to you at the top of week 7. I think it's week 7. This week, week 7, is pre-Raphaelite week. And I gotta tell you, couldn't be numbered better. 7 is a very important number numerologically, and the pre-Raphaelites would appreciate being featured here in week 7. The pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, get ready for it. We are reading a lot of male poets in this pre-Raphaelite tradition. The pre-Raphaelites bring something complicated to the table. In terms of their religiosity, in terms of their sexuality, and especially in terms of their aesthetic. This week it's all about the aesthetic. Now, I know that before in this class we dealt a little bit with images and imagery. The pre-Raphaelites really capitalize on the connection between language and image and feeling. And I'm really interested to see what you're going to make of the pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, although there were women in it, and the pre-Raphaelite movement in general. It is a fascinating time, a fascinating movement in the period, and it's also highly problematic, as all interesting things are. So I can't wait to bite into this context this week. Here in week 7, you have a discussion forum post that is centered on Christina Rossetti, who is not a brother, but rather a sister. And I'm very interested to see what you're going to make of that. But as always, feel free to run with any context, any line of inquiry that strikes you concerning the pre-Raphaelite movement this week. As you know, you never, ever, ever need to write to the prompt as long as you meet the requirements of the rubric. So keep in mind that the discussion forum is always a place for you to practice and for you to hone and harness your skill and to take risks. So keep that in mind. Here in week 7 as well, you have a formal proposal and annotated bibliography for your final paper project. By this point, most of you are very far along with conceptualizing what you want to write about, following up on your interests from the texts and the context that we've read. Although I suspect that there are some of you who are being very quiet in the course and with me because you haven't quite developed that confidence yet or a clear sense of what you want to write about. If you are that student, I want to encourage you to come to me. You and I can brainstorm from dusk till dawn and come up with some really intriguing, fascinating things that you can write about. Anyway, this week in week 7, you have a proposal due, and proposals can take a variety of forms. But most of all, a proposal is extremely succinct. It's not an abstract, but it's almost an abstract. It's a little more broad than an abstract would be. A proposal should be used as a way for you to craft your ideas, to articulate them to the fullness of where they are at this stage. I'm looking for about 2 paragraphs of a proposal, and I want this proposal to be extremely specific. So one thing I'm going to look for right off the bat is a context. If you're not sure what I mean by the word context, please go to my YouTube channel and watch my video on the pleasures of context. I want something extremely unique. Your paper topic, what I call context, should be something that only you could write about. Nobody else on this planet would ever write the same paper that you would. And that should be very clear from your context, yeah? The second thing that I want to see in your proposal, I want to see at least the primary central claim that is going to propel your line of inquiry. Now, as you know, an academic essay should have a number of claims or thesis statements. And certainly not just one, right? Because we're not undergraduates, we're not high school students. If you are confused about what the academic genre is, please watch my video, What is the Academic Genre, on my YouTube channel. You can also watch about how to make arguments there if you're not sure what I'm looking for. So I want to see a context. I want that context to be fleshed out and clear. And I want at least a sense of your central argument. And you better make sure there's a judgment in that argument, because without a judgment, there's no argument. There's a difference between a smart critical observation and an aggressive argument. So keep that in mind and know the difference before you sit down to write that paper. Following your proposal, also, the final thing you should think about doing in your proposal is any kind of logos you can bring in will be helpful. So if you have a passage or a quote or some way in to the primary text that you're dealing with, please let me know what that is. Draw my attention to that logos if you have it, and you should have it. You ought to try to have it when you sit down to write your proposal. Your proposal is followed by an annotated bibliography. Now, annotated bibliographies, according to the MLA, are very specific, which is why I have posted a sample for you here in this announcement this week in week 7. You can download that sample and save it. Save it forever. Annotated bibliographies are not formatted however you want. They follow a very specific format, and it's important for you to know what that looks like. So take a look. Keep that in mind as you are making yours. It's important that every graduate student has a copy of the most recent edition of the MLA handbook. Do you? Why don't you? Every answer to any question you have about formatting is in that book. There's only one way to format anything according to MLA. You've got to know what it is. You've got to have it memorized because you have to teach others, and also because if you ever want to get published in that style, you'll have to know it. And also because there are like 600 different styles, and hardly anybody publishes in MLA. Hardly anybody publishes in any one style. It's really all over the map. I don't think there's one style that dominates in the publishing industry for any discipline. APA, perhaps. MLA could be Chicago, could be Harvard. There are so many different styles. You've got to get one down before you can get the others down. You've got to know the differences between them. So have your MLA handbook handy every time you sit down to write a paper. Before you know it, you won't need it anymore. But there's only one way to do things. I don't care what instructors from the past have told you. They might want to modify because they don't know MLA. That's a harsh thing to say, but it's probably true. There's one way, and one way only, to do MLA. Know what it is and be positive about it and use it. That's it. For week 7, we have a fascinating week. I look forward to hearing more from you guys during my online office hours through email and in the forums. I'll see you there.